Okay, we should be live. We should be live. Thought we'd go a bit earlier today. Got a bit of spare time, so why the fuck not? Why the fuck not? But yeah, hopefully you guys are doing well, man. Just a quick little live stream, maybe an hour, something like that. Nothing too long. Okay. That's that sorted in the background. Big up to Matthias on boxing. Salute to you, sir. Hopefully you're doing well. Yeah, I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing good. Had the day off, so being pretty relaxed, pretty chill. Just been doing, various different errands and whatnot. But yeah, man, it's been okay. It's been okay. Looking forward to the weekend, man, to be honest. And looking forward to some nice weather as well. That's what we need right now, man. Some nice weather. But yeah, looking forward to the fight this weekend. Liam Williams versus Demetrius Andrade. Actually quite looking forward to it. Should be a good fight. Should be a good fight. I think Andrade's going to do it, to be honest. I think he's got too much, too rangy, too awkward. I think he'll outbox Liam Williams. I'm leaning towards a UD for Andrade, but for some reason, something's telling me now that Andrade is going to put on a real good performance, like a showcase performance, and I think that's what he needs right now. Demetrius Andrade, he needs to really make a statement in this fight. He needs to look good. He needs to win by dominating fashion. So it's all up to Andrade now, really. Liam Williams he's an interesting mandatory contender. He can punch. He's coming off some good form, and I certainly think he'll make Andrade work. But I've got Andrade in this fight. I can't see past Andrade winning. Yeah, the new channel's coming together now. Started to record my first video for that channel, so I'll keep you guys updated. But yeah, I've started to record. I've actually made the channel name as well. It's called Disturbed Reality. Made a little bit of channel artwork just for a placeholder kind of thing. When I get into it, I'll actually pay somebody to make some decent artwork for the channel. But coming on nicely. It's coming on nicely. The wheels are in motion now, finally. Big up Bump of K. Salute to you, sir. Shadow Boxing as well in the house. Big up to Shadow Boxing. But who have you guys got this weekend? Is anybody picking Liam Williams? I've seen a few people out there pick Liam Williams, but not too many. A few guys out there think Andrade is going to get knocked out. I can't see it personally. I think Canelo on points, shadow boxing, if that fight were to happen. I think Andrade in that fight would be a bit too passive. I don't think he could really get Canelo's respect. He might nick a few rounds based on his awkwardness and whatnot, his range, but I can't see him boxing for 12 rounds against Canelo and winning enough rounds to win a decision, to be honest. But I can see him sticking around and maybe reaching the distance. But having said that, Canelo is now up in weight, so maybe not. Maybe a late stoppage by Canelo. Shadow Boxing's got Liam Williams by 12th round stoppage. Interesting. As I said, I've seen a few people pick Liam Williams, but not too many. I can't really see it, to be honest. But who knows, man? How much has Liam Williams really improved? That's really the question for me. His biggest step up was Liam Smith. He lost both fights. I know the first fight was controversial, but nevertheless, he lost both fights. And since then, he's looked good at 160. But is that a result of selective matchmaking, or has he really improved that much? I'm not entirely sure. I think he has improved, but it's really hard to say how much, given the guys he's been fighting. I think a lot of people are, I don't know. Liam Williams has looked good, but we need to take into account who it was against, basically. Guys like Alantes Fox, Joe Mullender, Andrew Williams, whatever his name was. So, no, Andrew Robinson, sorry. So he's fought some guys, but a lot of these guys aren't really high level. The most impressive performance to me was his win over Alantes Fox, because that's a common opponent, and Liam Williams destroyed him. So that's a good look, no doubt about it. But it's not like Liam's been fighting top 10 contenders. Yadiel says Liam Williams is a bit overrated right now. Yeah, I can certainly see that argument. But I guess at the end of the day, we'll find out this weekend. I mean, if Liam Williams goes in there and knocks out Andrade, he's not been overrated. But if he goes in there and loses decisively, then yeah, people have definitely jumped the gun. There's no doubt about it. Round 12 stoppages are very rare, but that's my prediction. What do you make of Triller buying Fight TV? Have Triller already taken over the zone? It's an interesting move because, you know, Fight TV, they done their thing. They showed some cards in the UK, Top Rank, some PBC cards. They showed some cards in America as well. So they were a decent little outlet, Fight TV. And, you know, the fact that Triller are buying these guys out, it's a statement of intent, I guess. They are putting their money where their mouth is. How sustainable that is, I'm not sure. But they're making a fist of it. There's no doubt about it. And they're definitely a player right now. They are definitely a player. They got a lot of money to burn. So it's interesting. It's interesting. Hello, Del. Fabio Wardley ordered to fight Nick Webb for. So yeah, it's a good fight. It's a good fight. I think that's the ideal fight for Fabio Wardley right now. I think the Eric Molina fight really showed us that he can't really step above that level just yet. It's too soon for him. So go back a level, fight someone like Nick Webb. I think that's ideal, to be honest. But, you know, I would favour Fabio Wardley to win that fight quite comfortably. But Nick Webb can punch. You know, he's aggressive, so it'll be decent. But it's a good fight for Fabio Wardley at this stage. But I would say Fabio knocks him out. That's true. That is true, shadow boxing. Andrade has selective matchmaking as well. Yeah, he's not exactly fought the best level guys out there. But even someone like Selecki, for example, I rate Selecki higher than anybody Liam Williams has beat, to be honest. So I think Andrade is the overrated one in my opinion. You could be right, man. I think this weekend's going to answer a lot of questions about both guys. Demetrius Andrade, we want to see him fight somebody dangerous, somebody who's got power, somebody who can be aggressive. We want to see him, you know, tested. And this fight, potentially, we could see that. And we'll see what Andrade's about. If Andrade goes in there and destroys Liam Williams, it's certainly a statement. And really, that's what Andrade needs right now. He needs to be impressive in this fight. You know, a win over 12 rounds, don't get me wrong, it would be a good win, but I don't think that's what he needs right now. I think he really needs to put his name out there, you know, because right now, Demetrius Andrade, when you look at him, he's kind of the forgotten man at 160. So he needs to make fans remember him. And what better way by knocking out Liam Williams? I think a stoppage for Andrade is possible in this fight. One thing I'm not convinced about with Liam Williams is his dog. I think he's an on-top fighter. And I saw that in the Liam Smith fight, the first one. Liam Williams was winning that fight. He was boxing really well. And don't get me wrong, that fight was ended by a head clash, controversially so. But if you look at the last few rounds of that fight, Liam Williams, it looked like he didn't want to be there. And when that fight was ended, despite the controversial nature, he didn't look too disappointed. It looked like he was relieved to be out of there. So I've got a feeling that Liam Williams is an on-top fighter kind of thing. I'm not really convinced how he responds if Andrade switches it up and actually puts it on him. And that's what I want to see from Andrade. I want to see Andrade really go for it in this fight. Yeah, I agree, Matthias. Yeah, Fabio bashes up Webb. I agree. Williams next to join the bashed up Brit brigade. How many times do you reckon we'll hear Brave this weekend? That's a very good point. Very good point, Ruben Guerrero. Pick up to the Shepherd of Sons in the house. Andre, I nearly called you Andrade. I'd rather end my life and watch an Andrade fight. Christ almighty. Yeah, he's not the greatest to watch, Demetrius Andrade. His best performance to me was against Willie Nelson way back when. That was actually a good performance because he actually put it on Willie Nelson and he looked good in that fight. But, Andrade's got this habit of boxing within himself, just being content to win on points. That's not always enough. Of course, this is a sport first and foremost, but it's also an entertainment business. And recently, Andrade's not been entertaining. It's just that simple. So that's another reason why I say he needs to really make a statement in this fight. Winning on points in a lackluster type of fight is not really going to be enough for Demetrius Andrade. It's not going to change his current situation. So he needs to risk a bit in this fight and really go for it. Shadowboxing, Kolkai and Martirosyan are key fights for Williams to watch to beat Andrade. I agree. In particular, the Jack Kolkai fight. I think that's the fight that Liam Williams needs to watch. Kolkai wasn't doing anything special in that fight. All he really was doing was maintaining good balance behind a nice tight high guard, a nice jab, and he was pressuring Andrade, and that gave Andrade real problems. That's what Liam Williams needs to look at. Fight out of that real tight high guard behind a ramrod jab and apply that pressure. The difference is, though, Liam Williams is a bigger dude than Jack Kolkai, and he's got a lot more power. So if he can fight in a similar style, he can definitely have success. There's no doubt about it. Andre reckons Williams is going to be exposed for what he really is this weekend. I totally agree, Andre, whether it's good or bad. I'm not convinced that he's improved as much as some people say he has. I just can't count on that given the guys he's fought. And another thing we have to talk about, listen, he's gone to Dominic Ingle in the UK. Now, we've all heard things about Dominic Ingle. Certain guys have tested positive. Billy Joe Saunders, Kid Galahad, the Belgian cruiserweight as well, Yves Ngarbu. We know that gym has a reputation. Is Liam Williams in America with VADA testing going to be able to utilize those alleged substances? Who knows? I've never heard of him, Copend, the guy who Anthony Yard is fighting. Never heard of him. And I follow like light heavyweight, cruiserweight, heavyweight, most of these divisions super closely, and I've never heard of him. I can't front and say I have. Some random German dude, never heard of him. Big up to MMA champ in the house. Oh, Christ. My autistic cousin's more entertaining than Andrade. Christ. Boo Boo needs to start thinking about loading his gloves if he wants to entertain. Listen, I think that's a bit harsh. I think he's got some nice combinations. He can actually fight on the inside. If you watch the Willie Nelson fight, he was actually looking good in that fight. He can put shots together. He can drop people. He can hurt people. He's just too content on fiddling around and boxing behind the jab and winning on points. Saturday, the 22nd of May, Mick Hennessy's back. Big up to Mick Hennessy. I've got no idea who's fighting, though, Mr. Relax. Yes, big up to Unrivaled Boxing Talk in the house. Salute to you, Unrivaled. Man, why does Matchroom always have a trashiest undercards? I know. I saw the undercard, actually, for the Liam Williams fight. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Carlos Gongora back in action. Obviously, last time out, he knocked out Ali Akhmedov in a really good fight. But Gongora's fighting Christopher Pearson, who's not great. You've got Magomed Majidov on the undercard as well, who's a good heavyweight prospect. But, he's fighting a guy in Andrei Fedosov who's not fought in 3 years. So the undercard's not great. No doubt. I know the German scene well. He's an extremely low down bum. So that's the guy Anthony Yard is fighting. Yeah, he's not any good. Not any good. He's like 17-0 and he's beat absolutely nobody. Lions in the camp can't afford to lose that. Sorry, Lions in the camp cannot afford to lose. That is for sure. He needs to look good. Yeah, he needs to knock him out pronto. Heidel, I think Andrade's a little overlooked. I think Williams is easy work for him personally. Yeah, I'm expecting a good performance from Demetrius Andrade. I really am. A lot of guys are out there kind of doubting that he wins this fight, and I can certainly see why. You know, I really can. But for whatever reason, I'm the closer we get to this fight, something tells me he's going to look really good. I don't know why. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But my official prediction is Andrade on points for what it's worth. Okay, so yeah, Unrivaled seen the German dude fight once before, and he's horrendous. I don't doubt you, Unrivaled. I don't doubt you in that one, to be honest. I've never heard of him. Who do you fancy in the Maflane-Edwards fight? Oh, Maflane all day long. All day long. Far too experienced for Sonny Edwards. Sonny Edwards is like, he's a decent mover, but he's got no power. He's a slapper. He's not going to keep Maflane at bay for 12 rounds. Maflane will knock him out in the mid-rounds, in my opinion. He'll grind him down to the body, walk him down, beat him up and knock him out. Maflane's got to be shot to bits for Sonny Edwards to win that fight, to tell you the truth. Like I've said before, I can see why they've taken the fight, given the fact that Maflane is 38 years old. It's worth a risk, but I can't see him winning. I can't see Sonny Edwards winning. Jakov Gospic, he says, Adam Smith is already putting me off watching this weekend. Whether Williams loses or, God forbid, wins, it's going to be unbearable listening to him. I don't think it's on Sky, though, Jakov. I think it's on DAZN UK. So we're not going to hear from Adam Smith. And also, I don't think Adam Smith he wouldn't big up Liam Williams anyway because he's a Frank Warren fighter. So I can't see it, man. If he wins, who would you like to see him fight? Do you mean Andrade, boxing learner? If you're talking about Andrade, I mean, I'd love to see him fight either Golovkin, Murata in unification fights. Failing that, Jaime Munguia. These are the sort of fights I want from Andrade. If Liam Williams wins, he says he wants Golovkin, so there you go. This is good. Yeah. What do you make of Alexander Vodzik coming back against Joe Smith Jr.? Yeah. So Alexander Vodzik said on social media that he's interested in fighting Joe Smith Jr. Apparently, according to him, he was promised that fight. So maybe we're going to see the return of Alexander Vodzik. But if Vodzik is at his best, he'll beat Joe Smith Jr., in my opinion. He'll beat Joe Smith, maybe even knock him out late. Vodzik is a much better boxer. Much better boxer. Adam Scott's got Andrade by stoppage mid to late rounds. Interesting. Sonny's opponent is 13 years older than him. That age difference at 117 is a joke. How are you more than a decade younger than your opponent at that weight? Yes, crazy. It is crazy. But Maflane is still looking good. His last fight, he looked good anyway. So I still think Maflane beats him. Yeah, Maflane's not fought since, I want to say, 2019. I might be wrong on that. I want to say his last fight was Akira Yagashi. Let me have a look. I'm sure that's what it was. I'm sure Murati Maflane's last fight was Yagashi. See, my memory is terrible. Yeah, it was 2019, December 2019. That's when Maflane last fought. So you can see why they've taken the fight. 38 years old, inactive. It makes sense. It's a risk worth taking. XMB 45, Munguia's replacement opponent needs replacing again. He should have just taken the WBO Mando he could have got from being 154 champion. I agree, XMB 45. Having said that, though, listen, Munguia, he got that belt before he was ready at 154. He wasn't ready to be a world champion, in my opinion. He wasn't really developed enough. I like the fights he's taken so far at middleweight, to be honest. Spike O'Sullivan, Turiano Johnson, those were the ideal fights for Munguia at that time. And Selecki, his original opponents, was another good step in the right direction. But yeah, his replacement, is it Demetrius Ballard? Useless. Absolutely useless. Yeah, I agree, Copend. Yeah, Maflane will destroy Sonny. I agree. Edwards can fight Princess Patel afterwards. I don't see why not. I'd watch it. Yeah, Tony Harrison's back in the ring as well. Yep. He's fighting Bryant Perella. He'll win that fight easily. MMA champ. He'll win that fight easy. I think Cheeseburger Davis is announcing his fight today. Yeah, according to Steve Kim, it's looking likely that it's going to be Mario Barrios. Now, I quite like that fight if it's at 140. That could be an interesting fight for Tank Davis. I like that fight. Listen, Tank Davis, as we know, he's not a 140-pounder. We know he doesn't beat the likes of Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez, Regis Prograis. These guys wash him. What about a lower-level top 10 guy like Mario Barrios? Is Tank Davis good enough to beat that sort of guy at 140? I'm not convinced. I think that's a real hard fight. He's 5'10", something like that. Mario Barrios. He's got respectable power, decent fundamentals. Good. He's a good straight puncher, decent timing. I think that's a good fight, if that's the fight they make. Jared Thompson, he says Andrade, if he wants, could make himself mandatory for Canelo Saunders winner. He could, yeah, he could move up. Yeah, he could. He could. Yeah, okay, it's on DAZN. Yeah, Liam Williams, Andrade's on DAZN in the UK. That's good. That's good. I'm not a big fan of DAZN coverage, to be honest, but it's better than Sky. Anything's better than Sky. I don't get why Andrade gets a pass for him ducking fights like Jamel, Korobov, Lara, etc. They were all fights he ducked in the past, but people seem to forget. Yeah, that is true. Like the Jamel Charlo fight in particular, that was signed actually, and all of a sudden Andrade pulled out. He wasn't even injured. I forgot what the reason was. I think he was unhappy with money, even though he signed for the fight. So yeah, Andrade ducked people at 154. There's no doubt about it. So that's why I don't say he's avoided. Because ultimately, listen, did Jamal Charlo avoid him? Yeah, he did. But listen, he put himself in that position by doing no heavy lifting at 154. If Andrade had wins over Lara, Korobov, Jamel Charlo, he'd be in a lot better position right now. But he avoided all of those fights, like you said. So, yeah, it is what it is, man. No way, Andre. Alexander Vodzik knows he can't fuck with Beterbiev. He beat him up in the amateurs, beat him up in the pros. I think Alexander Vodzik realises that's a bad style for him. But I do want to see him back. You know, he's still quite young. I think Vodzik is only 33, I want to say. He's still pretty young for a light heavyweight. He's had some nice time out now, so maybe he's nice and refreshed. He's definitely a good fighter, Alexander Vodzik. See, if Alexander Vodzik came back, I'd want to see him fight either Dimitri Bivol or maybe Gilberto Ramirez, somebody like that. Okay, so Bob Arum promised him the winner of Vlasov versus Smith. I guess it's on Vodzik. Sorry, I guess Vodzik is currently training, yeah. Well, Bob Arum is saying that it's going to be Beterbiev, Joe Smith next. Andrade majority decision. Interesting pick. Sky used to have decent international coverage of boxing. Now it's hardly anything. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. They've really cut back on their budget. Not cut back on their budget, but they're more selective of what they spend it on now. Ain't no way they're going to do that. They're going to feed Joe Smith to Beterbiev. Yeah, I agree. That seems to be the plan, MMA champ. DAZN are giving us the choice of commentary for the Andrade Williams fight, UK or US commentary. Interesting. Who's the UK commentary? That's Nick Halling and Alex Arthur, or Nick Halling and Paul Smith. And the US coverage is what, Sergio Mora and Chris Mannix. I'd actually go UK coverage, to be honest. Did you watch Prince Patel's interview? He actually came across well. I think I'm starting to prefer him over fighters with big promoters backing. Who else with no backing would be doing what he is? Yeah, I wonder whether he's got a financial backer though, Ruben Guerrero, because he's fighting in random places like Hungary, Egypt, Kenya, fucking Tanzania, wherever he's fighting in random ass places. Somebody's got to be financing him because there's no money in that. He's got to be getting financed by somebody, Prince Patel. Damn, Black Hatred says Barrios is going to smash him. MMA Champ says, I think Barrios will upset Davis. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked. See, I don't think it's a terrible fight, shadow boxing. Don't get me wrong, I agree. I'd much rather see Davis fight in his own division, 100%. You know, guys like you say, Valdez or Herring. I'd much rather see that. But if he's going to move up and, you know, and fight somebody, why not? Listen, Barrios at 140, it's a risky fight. I think it'll be competitive, so I don't deem that as like a cherry pick or something completely outlandish. As long as there's no catch weight, as long as there's no rehydration clause, if it's on the up and up, I've got no problem whatsoever with that fight. Honestly. If you could smash the like, lads, by the way, as well. Andre says, dude, Tio's going to absolutely slaughter Kambosos. That size difference is scary. I totally agree, Andre. I've seen a couple of Kambosos fights. So the Lee Selby fight, obviously, wasn't really impressed. And his fight with Mickey Bay. And, you know, both of those fights, he went life and death. Selby, a blown-up featherweight, gave him problems. And Mickey Bay, a shot lightweight, gave him problems. So there you go. That's all you really need to know about George Kambosos. He's like a mid-level guy. He's not a top 10 level guy. No way in hell. Like, let alone Teofimo. I wouldn't pick this guy to beat anybody in the top 10. Nakatani, no way. Richard Comey, nope. Linares, no. Even someone like Luke Campbell, I'd pick to beat Kambosos comfortably, to be honest. Even Javier Fortuna, I'd take to beat Kambosos. Barrios is being chosen as he struggled with Akhmedov. He looked tired after 4 or 5 rounds. I still think he might have too much reach for Gervonta Wank Davis, though. Yeah, it's interesting. Physically, it's an interesting fight. Like, the physical dimensions of Barrios will make it interesting. Oh, this is a hard one. I think Jaron Ennis beats Virgil Ortiz. Who do you think wins, Del? It's a hard one, really. It's a real hard one. I was impressed with Jaron Ennis in his last fight. You know, he is open defensively at times, and I wonder what a good pressure fighter would do to him, especially someone like Virgil Ortiz, who can punch with both hands. He's physically strong. See, I was told by somebody out in America that Jaron Ennis always struggled with pressure in the amateurs. Not sure how true that is, but you can see it in his style. He gives up a lot of height and reach at times, and he gets tagged. So I think he could Ennis could invite Ortiz into a war. Maybe Ennis could get the better of him in that fight, but he'd be putting himself in harm's way. I see it as 50-50, to be honest. I see it as 50-50. People talk about Beterbiev going up to cruiserweight, but I don't think he's big enough with his current style. I agree. I think he's too small, Jared. I think he's too small. Yeah, I agree, Adam. That's how it seems to be right now with Sky. Just domestic shows and crap pay-per-views. Yeah, for the most part, that's how it is. Shadow Boxing, he says, feed Smith to Beterbiev. Smith is going to knock Beterbiev into next week. I can't see it, bro. I can't see it. I think Joe Smith's going to get ground down and knocked out in the mid-rounds. I think people are actually overestimating Beterbiev's chin problems, if you want to call him that. At the end of the day, he's been knocked down twice as a pro. The first knockdown against Jeff Page Jr. was literally a flash knockdown, you know. I think Jeff Page was a southpaw. He was standing on Beterbiev's foot. He got clipped. He lost balance. He went down. He wasn't hurt whatsoever. And the Callum Johnson knockdown, listen, Callum Johnson is a legitimate puncher. He can really, really crack. Yeah, but Beterbiev got overzealous. He got dropped, but he got right back up and knocked him out. So, and listen, Beterbiev's been fighting heavyweights in the amateurs, no problem at all. He can take a punch. You know, Joe Smith got hurt a couple of times against Maxime Vlasov, who's not a puncher. He's had his jaw snapped by Sullivan Barrera. He got stopped early in his career. So people are saying about Beterbiev's durability. What about Joe Smith's? There's reason to question that as well. I honestly think Beterbiev will outlast Joe Smith in a firefight. I really do. I really do. Yeah, they don't even get the DAZN international fights anymore. Yeah, they're on DAZN UK now. Okay, so US coverage is Algeria. Okay. Interesting. Smith's got a chin of granite, Beterbiev not so much. I'm not sure about that. I think that's overblown. I really do. I don't blame you, Adam Scott. Sky is extremely expensive, especially if you're just following it for boxing. It's extremely expensive. Yeah, I heard about this fight, Haydar. I've never heard of his opponent though, so I can't really comment. Oh, big up to G-Man, by the way. I never saw you there, man. Big up to G-Man. Thank you for the contribution. He says, salute to Dell. Salute to G-Man, one of the best channels on here, man. Check out G-Man's channel if you haven't. One of the best around. There's no doubt about it. Out of Ireland, really good channel. Knows his stuff. Regular uploads. Very good videos, man. So salute to G-Man. Thank you very much for the support, bro. Much appreciated. Yeah, I've got some Kambosos highlights on my channel, and he's an in-and-out fighter, yeah. I'm not saying he's terrible or anything like that, but I just don't think he's like a genuine top 10 level guy. He's like a fringe contender at best, I would say. Boxing Learner, he says he doesn't think Tank Davis will KO Barrios. He's a big dude, man, Mario Barrios. He's like 5'10". He's a massive dude. Eventually, Tank Davis's power is going to... It's not going to tell anymore. Eventually. Yeah, we was talking about this earlier, Haydar. I've never heard of him. And I follow these divisions extremely closely. I've never heard of Anthony Yard's opponent. I can't lie. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I have. I've never heard of him. I've never seen him. So I can't imagine he's any good. Maybe he's a diamond in the rough like Marco Kalic, who fought Joshua Buatsi. But at least Marco Kalic had an amateur background to speak of. I can't find anything about this Yard opponent. Nothing whatsoever. So more than likely he's very poor, Haydar. More than likely he's very poor. I think you're really underrating Kambosos there. I'm not sure, bro. I think he's going to get lit up like a Christmas tree. I think he's going to get taken out quick. I really do. Like 4 or 5 rounds kind of thing. It's going to be one of those like vintage Teofimo performances, like when he fought Edis Tatley, for example, or Diego Magdaleno. He's gonna destroy him. Stanionis versus Conor Benn. Who wins right now? Good fight, man. That'll be a great fight. Conor Benn's definitely improved a lot. I think like athletically he's more gifted than Stanionis, but Stanionis has better fundamentals. Like his jab is excellent, Stanionis, and he's a pretty big puncher himself. I'd probably lean towards Stanionis, to be honest. MMA champ. I'd lean towards Stanionis, but not really confident. I need to see more of both, if I'm being honest. Well, apparently this Buatsi's opponent was supposed to be announced a little while ago, a few days ago, but we've heard nothing. So I've got no idea, Copend. If it was up to me, yeah, I'd have him fight someone like Isaac Chilemba. I think that could be a good fight for him. Maybe Shabransky, the Ukrainian dude. These sort of guys, man. Fringe level guys who have been there, you know, fought at a certain level. These are the sort of guys Buatsi needs to fight next, in my opinion. Big up to Marcy D in the house. Salute to Marcy. Now, this is high praise. Ennis is the most athletically gifted welterweight I've seen since Prime Pacquiao. That is high praise, J9898. But he's certainly he is gifted athletically, though. He's got quick hands, quick feet, nice combinations. He's got power. I like his ability to switch stances. He seems very smooth in both. I like him. Yeah, he's a good fighter. Vlasov swallowed everything Smith hit him with. Didn't even seem like it hurt him, to be honest. I got Beterbiev by KO. Vlasov was definitely hurt in round 11, but up until that, he was taking those shots fine, for the most part. Oh yeah, leave a like, indeed, man. Smash for like. Smash for like. What fighter, past or present, do you think would have beaten a prime Roy Jones, and why? I take it when we talk about Roy Jones, I'm presuming we're talking about light heavyweight, because that's where Roy Jones is kind of perceived to be at his very best. At light heavyweight, I think you're going to have to look historically. Maybe someone like Bob Foster, massive puncher. That left hook, of course, was deadly. But in a head-to-head type of fight, Roy Jones is always one of those guys who kind of matches up well with everybody. But I'd be looking at guys like maybe Bob Foster, to be honest. Exactly, G-Man. Yeah, Kambosos beat Selby, who in my opinion was overrated at 126, much less at lightweight. I agree, G-Man. I totally agree. I could never really see the hype with Lee Selby. He was one of those fighters where, yeah, he did some like flashy things in there, but I think a lot of it was more style than substance with Lee Selby. I'm not saying he wasn't any good. He was okay, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't as high on him as some people were back in the day. G-Man, do you remember when they was calling him the what was it? Yeah, the Welsh Mayweather? Sorry, get tongue tied. Scott Harrison versus Kyle Frampton at 126. That's a good fight, you know. Scott Harrison was a good pressure fighter, strong dude, good chin, decent power, good work rate. I think I might take Frampton on points though. Competitive points win for Kyle Frampton. Okay, so Anthony Yard's opponent is also a super middleweight. Okay, there's more context. So he's going to be no good then. He's going to be no good whatsoever. I'll big up to the Truth Son, by the way. He says, Dale, hope you're well, mate. Hopefully you're dusting off your jab. Strong right hand in some training from time to time. Let's go, Beterbiev. KO Smith, 100%. I agree, bro. I've not been hitting the bag for a long time, Truth Son. I've not been hitting the bag at all. I've done no running, no sit-ups, no push-ups. I've done nothing for a long time. So the summer's coming, man. The summer's coming. So I need to get myself in shape, fighting fit, man. I need to get back on weight. But yeah, I need to work out a bit more. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But big up to Truth Sons for the contribution. Much appreciated. And yeah, Beterbiev knocks out Smith 100%. Totally agree. Of course I'm going to agree, man. Jared Thompson, I know they're divisions apart, but maybe Davis versus Russell will be a good fight, probably at 130. See, I'm not sure, man. I don't want to see Tank Davis fight guys coming up anymore, to be honest. I like Gary Russell Jr. a lot. For what it's worth, yeah, I think Gary Russell Jr. has been one of the biggest waste of talents in boxing in the last 10 years. I thought the guy had it all. The hand speed, the combinations, the boxing ability, the hand-eye coordination, the accuracy, respectable power. Gary Russell Jr. could have been a great fighter. I'm genuinely talking about a pound-for-pound level talent with Gary Russell Jr. I rate him that highly in terms of ability, but he just never put it together, man. Never put it together. Inactive. Didn't take certain fights. And it's a shame, man. I really rate Gary Russell, but he's left it too late now. And I think he's slowing down as well. I noticed that in the Niambiar fight. I think he's starting to slow down a little bit now. So I expect Gary Russell to get beaten the next 18 months or so. I really do. But it's a shame with Gary Russell. Are you backing Parker to beat Chisora, Dell? I am, yeah. I've got Parker on points. You know, again, that's a hard fight to call given how Parker's looked recently. But my basis is like, if both guys are at their best, Parker should win. He's a better technical boxer. He's taller. He's longer. He's faster of both hand and foot. He's more athletically gifted. He's got better combinations. Like Joseph Parker does, basically, he does a lot more better than Chisora does. Put it that way. He should win that fight. He's got the attributes to beat Chisora. The only thing with Parker is his mentality. That's what lets him down. But it's Parker's fight to lose, as far as I'm concerned. It's Parker's fight to lose. He should win that fight. He really should. Yeah, there's no shame in getting dropped by Callum Johnson. That guy has world-class power in both hands. Yeah, exactly. I agree, Andre. I don't think he's a world-class fighter, but his power is definitely world-class. I would say so. I think he hits very hard. I want to see Conor Benn fight Kell Brook or Amir Khan, then Jack Catterall. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind the Amir Khan fight. I think Kell Brook at 147 now is like completely a write-off. So I would leave that one, to be honest. But Amir Khan, that would be good fun. It'll draw some interest. I'd like to see it. But if I was matching Conor Benn, I'd have him fight Michael McKinson next. Maybe Michael McKinson, then David Avanesian, then maybe Amir Khan. You know what I mean? Like, there's no rush. There's no rush with Conor Benn. There's no rush with Conor at all. I think Smith significantly raises his chances against Beterbiev if he starts working with a world-level trainer. I think Joe has untapped athleticism that he's never learned to use. Interesting. Yeah, it seems like he's kind of hit that plateau now where he's not really going to improve unless he changes something, maybe his trainer. I see where you're coming from. Yeah, I've heard nothing to the contrary, Copendo 9. It looks like that way. Yeah, get the likes up for those Silicon Valley dweebs, 100%. Smash the like. Always helps us out. It's always good for the channel. Oh, Truth Son again, man. Big up to Truth Son. Let's get it, Del. Yes, sir. Yeah, I need to get back in shape, bro. I'm not in bad shape. Don't get it twisted. I'm not overweight or anything like that. I'm still like in a healthy weight range. That's not the problem. I'm not toned at all right now. I'm not toned. My gas tank's probably low as well. So I need to get back in the swing of things, man. Like this time last year, so sort of March, April, May, June, I was like running 5 miles a day. I was hitting the bag, doing my sit-ups. I was working hard this time last year, but the last few months or so, I don't know, man, I've really just slacked. My problem is with working out is like once I've stopped for a few days, that's me done. I've got to be in a constant routine with working out. Otherwise, I'll stop. Who do you think Alan Babich should fight next? I mean, if Fabio Wardley doesn't fight Nick Webb, maybe Nick Webb, that'll be a good fight for Alan Babich. But someone along those lines, someone like Nick Webb, you know, somebody like that. Who knows, man? Maybe Marius Wack. That'll be hilarious. The size difference. Get Marius Wack in there with Alan Babich. Get him some rounds. Virgil Ortiz reminds me a bit of Mikey Garcia. His stance, the way he throws his shots, his defense style, etc., a bit similar to Mikey. I see where you're coming from, J9898. But he's like a more aggressive Mikey. Like if Mikey was a pressure fighter. But I see what you mean in regards to the punch technique. Yeah, I see that. Frampton was rated top 10 pound for pound after the Santa Cruz win. Yeah, he was, yeah. I think he was 2016 Fighter of the Year as well, if I'm not mistaken. How good is Jose Luis Castillo, and how would he have done in today's 135 division? Yo, Jose Luis Castillo was a great fighter, very good lightweight in his day. Obviously, most well known for that fight with Diego Corrales, one of the best fights of all time. Also, arguably beat Floyd Mayweather in their first fight. You know, gave Floyd fits in that first fight. Even the second fight, I mean, Mayweather definitely won the second fight quite clearly, but even that was not an easy fight for Mayweather. Castillo was a very good pressure fighter who always like maintained good balance, hard puncher, great gas tank. You know, Castillo was a great fighter. But to answer your question, call me crazy, but I think Castillo could beat everybody at lightweight right now, including Lomachenko. I'm not saying he'd beat Lomachenko, but he could. I think he'd beat most of these guys at lightweight these days. You know, the guy who beat Julio Diaz, Joel Casamayor, you know, he was a very good lightweight. Very good lightweight. Yeah, Yard is back to fighting B&Q workers. Man wants to sharpen his lines in the camp tactics. Yeah, it's disappointing, man. It's disappointing, XMB. Big up again, by the way, to Truth Son. Yeah, Welsh Mayweather, that was crazy. I remember picking Warrington over Selby. Selby struggles and couldn't put a dent in Fernando Montiel flyweight, and he had problems there. He did, yeah. He did. That's a good fight, yeah. Alan Babich versus James Wilson. I think Babich beats James Wilson, though. I've not been impressed with James Wilson at all. Big Baby Miller versus Big Baby Anderson. Who wins? It'd be too soon for Big Baby Anderson, to be honest. It would be too soon, hypothetically, if Big Baby Miller was back. If they fought tomorrow, yeah, let's say Big Baby Miller wasn't banned and he was still fighting, I'd pick Jarrell Miller to win that fight. Too soon, way too soon. Ryan Garner's back versus Paul Holt on the McFlane Edwards card, along with the Franken brothers. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, Amir Khan doesn't seem to want that smoke, Hader. He doesn't seem to want it. The Josh Kelly fight for Ben would be great, even if he's coming off a loss. I'd still watch it, Adam Scott. I'd still watch it. I wouldn't moan if they make that fight. Yeah, I saw Amir Khan boasting about that on Twitter. That's Amir Khan for you, though. That's Amir Khan for you. What do we expect? Exactly. Parker has no identity of his own as a boxer. He needs to find himself. He's like a tail and not a head, but with massive potential. But think he still beats Derek. Yeah, that's how I see it. That's a perfect way of describing it, to be honest. Like I always said, yeah, with Joseph Parker, like, let's say the Dillian White fight, man. I mean, if he had Dillian White's dog and his heart, he'd have beaten Dillian White comfortably. That's the only thing that won Dillian that fight. Like, Dillian didn't win the fight. Joseph threw it away, as far as I'm concerned. Like, it's that lack of spite, that lack of spirit has always let Joseph Parker down. Like, even the Joshua fight, he went in there and he never let it all hang out against Joshua. And that was so disappointing. A unification fight, and he never left it all in the ring. It's disappointing with Joseph Parker. Ryan Garcia is giving excuses not to fight Devin. He's trying to make out like as if he's fought better fights, but he just stepped up his last fight. Yeah, that whole situation's annoying as fuck, to be honest. It's annoying as fuck. Like, Ryan Garcia a couple of months ago was saying, if he's not fighting Pacquiao and if he's not fighting Gervonta Davis, he's not fighting at all. Lo and behold, 2 months later, he's fighting Devin Haney's mandatory, a guy that, and a guy in Devin Haney he showed no interest in fighting. Make that make sense. The interim champion is more willing to fight the full champion's mandatory rather than fight the full champion. Make that make sense. It's ridiculous. Listen, Ryan looked good in this last fight, had a bit of adversity, came back, got the win. Great, exciting as fuck, real good fight. But you can't live off that. It's Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell's a low-level top 10 contender. You can't live off that. You got to build on that. Fortuna's a good fight, but listen, man, providing Ryan beats Fortuna, providing Devin beats Linares, that fight needs to happen next. There's no excuses. I don't want to hear about fucking who draws the most, who deserves what. I don't want to hear it, to be honest. Just make the fight. What's the point being an interim champion if you've got no desire winning the full belt? What's the point? But yeah, I agree. Yeah, McKinson's very awkward. He might be a banana skin for Ben. What do you think? Yeah, potentially, but I think it's good matchmaking. It's another style for Conor to contend with. I think Conor's got too much firepower, too much activity for Michael McKinson. But, he could definitely pose some problems. But I like the fight for Conor at this stage. I really do. I like the fight. Maybe the lockdown got you down a bit, Del. A lot of people are putting on weight during it. I don't think it's that, man. I just think I've been preoccupied with other things, like moving place for a start. That was a big stress as well. Like moving to a new flat. That took a lot of time and a lot of stress. And yeah, I've just not been motivated, to be honest. I've not been motivated. Neither have I, Cop and 09. I've not seen anything from Kell Brook after that fight. Yo, big up to Speak Your Mind Sports Talk, man. Salute to Speak Your Mind Sports Talk. Big up to D Jefferson, great channel. Check him out, real good stuff. Big up to D every single time. D uploads, like, he does his streams at the perfect time when I'm working, like usually midday UK time, like 1 o'clock time. It's always perfect for me when I'm streaming. Sorry, when I'm working, he streams at the perfect time. But big up to D. Okay, Babich versus Milas for the Croatian Federation belt. Eddie and Frank working together for the greater good. I'd watch it. AA Boxing and Blunts. That'd be a good fight. Yeah, because Peter Millas is now with Frank Warren. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, Jose Luis Castillo was a great fighter, very good pressure fighter. Nobody had an easy time with Castillo when he was in his prime. Nobody. Yeah, Stephen McKenna, good prospect. Yep. Irish, indeed. Yep. Who would you say had better skills? Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather, or James Toney? How would you rank them all? Who would you say is first, second, and third? See, I'm biased here because James Toney is my favourite fighter of all time. So out of pure biasness, I'm going to say James Toney 1, Mayweather 2, and Andre Ward at a distant third. Like, I don't think Andre Ward is in the same league as Toney or Mayweather in terms of talent. I really don't. Tactically, Andre Ward is very clever. But in terms of like pure technique, talent, athleticism, I don't think he was... It's going to sound crazy, but I don't think he was anything special, to be honest. He was just great at neutralizing his opponents, more so than being like a special athlete or a special fighter. But yeah, I'm going to say Toney number 1, man. Fuck it. Yeah, Casamayor, yeah, he was a good fighter as well. Casamayor was a very good fighter. Niril, big up to Niril, by the way. Big up, bro. How do a Yard and this team find these opponents? Yeah, they're like grave diggers, Niril. They're like grave diggers, man. They find these guys in the cemetery. You'd get more life in the cemetery than some of these opponents that Yard faces. Christ almighty. Is boxing in the worst state it's ever been in right now? The best are rarely fighting the best, and it makes it so much harder for me to get up for watching some of these fights. It's a hard one, man. I think boxing this year could be very good. We have got some good fights already. You know, we just had, for example, Estrada Gonzalez 2. We've got Taylor Ramirez. Charlo versus Castano has now been agreed, undisputed. Just need a date and venue. Tyson Fury versus Joshua is looking very promising. You know, providing these fights actually get finalized and they happen, that's a good base to build from. I think this year could be quite good for boxing, actually. I really do. I think it could be quite good. To quote the GOAT Lovejoy, he has the tools to beat Tyson Fury. Yeah, you can't knock Christopher Lovejoy, the most dangerous man in the heavyweight division. No blueprint, 19-0, 19 knockouts. Great talent in the heavyweight division, Christopher Lovejoy. Oh, Andy Ruiz beats up Chisora Hader, in my opinion. Yeah, AA Boxing and Blunt. Ben is only 24 years old and he's very well moved. He'll skip all of the domestic fights and keep fighting older people with a bit of name value for years. You might be right. You might be right. See, I want to see I really want to see him fight McKinson next and then Avanesian. I think those would be good fights for Conor Benn right now. I agree, XMB 45. All the childish clout chasing the 135-pounders do makes me hope Ortiz and Ennis achieve higher success. Them man speak humble, yeah. They do, yeah. Both Ortiz and Ennis come across quite well in the interviews. They just seem like they want to fight people. And that's all you want to hear as a boxing fan. Whether they turn out to do that or not, we'll see. But they're saying the right things. These guys at 135, man, it's like who's got the bigger Instagram following, who makes more money, who's the A side, who's the B side. I'm not interested, man. Like, when did public negotiations and all this shit become a thing? It's so frustrating, man. Joe Parker's meth case gets swept under the rug. Nobody asks him about it. You might end up in a fucking body bag, Jim Jones. Parker might get you taken out in these streets. Ryan's a pussy and Fortuna's a cherry pick. Yo, Johnny, I kid you not, yeah. I'm not as high on Ryan Garcia as a lot of people are. I can see Fortuna giving this kid some problems. I really can. I really can. Maybe that's because I don't really rate Ryan that highly. The Boxing Lounge, big up to you, sir. So yeah, something happened in regards to that fight. I think it was Linares caught COVID or something like that. No, it wasn't that. I forget what happened there. But you're right. That fight was in talks at one point. I'm not sure what happened, though. I'm not sure what happened. I've totally forgotten. But you're right. They were supposed to fight. Taylor's a better boxer, banter swag. Taylor's more well-rounded. Like, the guy can do a bit of everything. He can fight on the inside. He can box a bit. He's more versatile than Ramirez, but it's still a hard fight for Josh Taylor. I'd say 60-40 in favor of Josh Taylor in that fight. I've got no idea at this stage, AA Boxing and Blunts. I've got no idea at this stage. Don't know what I hate more, lions in the camp shouting over and over, or them stupid handshakes stuff they do. It's all fucking stupid, Mr. Relax. It's all fucking stupid, to be honest. Ryan's the best boxer out of all of Oscar's illegitimate sons. I'd say so, yeah. I'd say so. Listen, he's a talented kid. He's got speed and power. He's athletically gifted, but I'm not convinced like some people are. I'm not convinced like some are. Exactly, yeah, bump of K. James Toney didn't train, whereas Mayweather and Ward were gym rats. That's why Toney is the man for me. Can you imagine if James Toney had Mayweather's work ethic, where he was always in the gym, always on weight? Can you imagine that? He'd be a fucking bad man. Like, he had a great career anyway, but imagine James Toney with that sort of work ethic. That guy would have been deadly. Fuck crazy, man. Because Steve Collins, I was watching The Gloves of Wrath with Steve Collins, and it was Steve Collins, Chris Eubank Sr., Richie Woodall, and Roy Jones. And Steve Collins said, when he saw James Toney train, he was the most naturally talented fighter that he ever saw. But when he saw him sparring, in between rounds, James Toney would be drinking Coca-Cola instead of water and shit like that. The guy never took training super seriously. All the guy used to do was spar, and that was basically it. Never used to run, never used to diet, none of that shit. That guy was a fighter through and through, James Toney. But if he had that work ethic like a Mayweather, that guy would have been incredible, man. More incredible than he was. I'll big up to the boxing lounge. He says, yes, Del, I'm running boxing simulations using Fight Night Round 3. Could I get a shout out? There you go, man. Check out the boxing lounge. How long have you been subscribed, bro? Because I've never seen your name before. Maybe I've got a terrible memory, but yeah, shout out to the boxing lounge. Check out his channel. And big up to Nordic, by the way. Salute to Nordic. In terms of skill for skill, I think Mayweather and Toney are levels above Andre Ward. Honestly, I really do. I really do. Like James Toney's inside fighting compared to Andre Ward, James Toney was a much better inside fighter because he did not have to bend the rules all the time. He could fight cleanly on the inside, evade punches, get his own work done. You know what I mean? Like he was so much more effective on the inside for me, James Toney. Far more fluid, far more smooth. I think James Toney was levels above Andre Ward in terms of technique, talent, everything. I really do. I think that fight would be similar to the Hopkins fight. It'll be close and competitive, but Calzaghe's work rate might be a bit too much. What did you think of Fight Camp, and who do you think? What do you think about Fight Camp, and who do you think the most fans from it? I'm not sure what you mean by the second part, but it was okay, Fight Camp. It was okay. Bit of a gimmick, but it was what it was, man. It was okay. It was okay. Yeah, Avanesian, yeah, he could definitely beat Conor, boxing learner. He could definitely beat Conor. Big up to Jim McDonald. He says, no chance Fury and Joshua is next. They're trying to keep us all interested, so they are. You could be right. Hopefully you're wrong. I've got a feeling it's going to happen, man. Have you seen the shape Tyson Fury's in? He looks in great shape. Like the best shape I've ever seen him in, type of thing. He looks in great shape. I think he's training for it. I really do. Golden Boy have one of the worst stables. I wouldn't go that far, but definitely not as strong as it used to be. Oh, big up to Nordic. He says Avanesian could beat Connor due to experience and his better fundamentals. Very good fight. I agree. That'd be a big risk, Nordic. It'll be a very big risk. But listen, I like Connor. He's really kind of he's grown on me as a fighter. Conor Benn, didn't really rate him when he turned pro. And he's definitely improved a lot. But you know, the way some people are talking, you know, some people are saying like he's world level. I've heard people say that. If that's the case, he should fight David Avanesian. We'll see exactly where he's at. But I agree. I think Avanesian's a very hard fight. In an ideal world, I think Conor Benn needs another fight before that, realistically, like Michael McKinson. But I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. Exactly, Johnny. Smash for like. Smash for like, indeed. Yeah, exactly. Terms were agreed 10 months ago, apparently, but we're still waiting for a date and a venue. Yeah. Exactly. Tony had next level skills, just wasn't an athlete. Yeah. He was too fucking lazy, James Tony. That's his problem. Nordic Warrior. I used to drink multiple cans of Iron Brew before sparring and get stomachache, laugh out loud. Man, imagine getting your body worked over after you've had some Iron Brew. Imagine getting your body worked over. Okay, so I know you under another channel. I think I know who you might be. Tony almost went to football instead of boxing. I feel like the NFL steals a lot of the best American heavyweights from boxing. There is that theory. Ward was getting out-jabbed by Paul Smith's skill. Do you know what? I've still never seen that fight, Nordic. I've still never seen it. I never watched it at the time. Couldn't be asked with it. In fact, I might have seen it, actually. I don't remember, honestly. I don't remember even watching it. Loma versus Chavez Sr. You could see a controversial Chavez Sr. win. That's what I would say. A controversial Chavez Sr. win. Some sort of controversial decision. We know that Chavez Sr. had those fights in his career. So that's what I would go with. A Chavez robbery. Oh, big up to Kangaroo Jack. I've never seen you before, by the way. So big up to Kangaroo Jack. In my opinion, the only way anybody beats Fury is if you knock him out. It would be stupid for AJ to try and outbox him. Fury's skill level is way above all of the other heavyweights. I agree. That's why I was saying, like, I've talked a bit about this fight. A lot of Tyson Fury fans were saying that Tyson needs to be aggressive against Joshua. I think that's a bad idea. I think Tyson needs to stick and move, make Joshua take the lead. If he does that, I think Tyson Fury schools him, to be honest. I think he outboxes him. But if Tyson applies pressure, it gives Joshua the chance to land that one shot. Joshua's a much more offensively gifted fighter than Deontay Wilder. You can't walk down Joshua like he did Wilder. There's a lot more coming back. There's a lot more risk involved. So if Tyson Fury boxes, I think he beats AJ. But I agree. I agree. But again, big up to Kangaroo Jack. It's a cool name, by the way. Will you ever do a face reveal? Yeah, potentially. I thought about it. Some people know what I look like. Some know what I look like. But I know Mark does, for example. We shall see. We shall see. Lamotta beats the shit out of Canelo and leaves Epo coming out of his pores. Yeah, that would have been a great fight. Jake LaMotta versus Marvin Hagler. That would have been a fucking war. That would have been a war, man. See, I would favour Hagler on points, but you can see that going either way. Like, Lamotta wasn't really a big puncher, but his work rate was second to none. Like, he could work all day fucking long. That'd be a great fight, though. I'd go Marvin Hagler, though. Real close points win. See, I think that's my problem with Andre Ward. Tactically, he was a good fighter. He was an intelligent fighter, but to me, he relied far too much on the dark arts for me to really appreciate. Like, James Toney was a much more clean fighter, much more fluid fighter. The way he could position himself on the inside without really getting touched, but he'll get his own work off. You know, his shoulder roll. James Toney's shoulder roll wasn't purely defensive. He would counter out of that shoulder roll, and he could really hurt you out of that shoulder roll as well. James Toney, to me, was just a natural when it comes to boxing. Absolute natural. See, I used to try and fight like James Toney when I sparred. When I first got into a boxing gym, first guy I tried to emulate was David Haye. Got my shit pushed in. Then I tried to fucking emulate James Toney. Got fucking beat up again, giving up my height and reach, letting guys walk onto me. I was trying to fucking shoulder roll and fire out of it, and I got beat up. That style of fighting is extremely hard to master, which James Toney used, and he made it look so easy. So easy, man. But you're asking the wrong person, though, with those sort of questions, because I'm a big James Toney fan. Yeah, Mayweather's inside game was actually quite good. Yeah, young Floyd used to fight more on the inside, especially against guys like Emmanuel Augustus, Ricky Hatton. Well, he never really fought Ricky Hatton on the inside. Hatton was kind of stopped from fighting on the inside by Joe Cortez. But yeah, in his lightweight days, super featherweight days, Mayweather fought a lot more on the inside. Oh yeah, Seth Mitchell fucking sucked. He was terrible. He was awful, Seth Mitchell. Believe it or not, again, this is when I know certain people haven't been watching boxing long, but Nordic, do you remember when Seth Mitchell was coming up, he was more hyped than Deontay Wilder. And bear in mind, Wilder at that point in time, like 2012, sorry, I think that's when Mitchell lost. Like, he was being more hyped than Wilder. And bear in mind, Wilder at that time had 3 years experience. Like, people were high on Seth Mitchell. Like, HBO were trying to hype him up as well. It's crazy. I remember that. Maybe he will Crusader Cross. Maybe he will. But if Tyson Fury decides to pressure Joshua, he leaves himself a lot more open. A lot more open. What's one of the shots that Tyson's most susceptible to, in your opinion? I would say the uppercut. I think he looks very open to the uppercut, one of Joshua's best punches. Joshua's got a left hook at mid-range, the chopping overhand right. He can uppercut with both hands. He can dig to the body. He's not just got he's not got one right hand like Deontay Wilder. That's the only thing you need to worry about with Wilder. Once you take that away, you can walk him down. With Joshua, there's a lot more to contend with. I think Fury needs to box and move. And if Joshua starts to tire, then in the last few rounds apply pressure. But don't apply pressure from the first bell. Tyson Fury could get knocked out if he does that. I know what you look like, Liam. I think I know who that is now. Dave Allen's last brain cell. Nobody wants to see that ugly mug at Blue Collar Sports TV. Big up to George C. Salute to George. I don't know why, I assumed that it was fucking 8 o'clock at night, but I started this stream super early. Yeah. I remember watching Seth Mitchell versus Chaz Witherspoon, and afterwards Golden Boy were talking about making Seth versus Vladimir. Ben Vlad's trainer knocked out Seth in 2 rounds, laugh out loud. Yeah, Jonathan Banks knocked him out in 2 rounds, yep. And the rematch, in my opinion, was super suspect. I think that rematch was a fix because Jonathan Banks, It was the weirdest performance I've ever seen. It was like he was told not to hit Seth Mitchell. That's exactly what it looked like. I'm convinced that fight was a fix. And you guys know me. I'm not one of those guys who say every fight's a fix. I was convinced that fight's a fix. Still am. Seth Mitchell versus Jonathan Banks too. I'm sure that fight was fixed. Yeah, I agree, Crusader Cross. I agree. What do you think about the Chisora Parker after the fighters that have been announced? So yeah, the main event is okay. The main event's not too bad at all. But for it to be pay-per-view, it needs a real strong undercard, and it doesn't have that. I like Dimitri Bivol, but he's in with Craig Richards, a guy way below his level, and Chris Eubank Jr. is fighting Marcus Morrison, mismatch. So the card is not great. So I'm not paying for it. I'll stream it, to be honest. I'll stream it. Oh yeah, no doubt. Lamotta had an incredible resume. Incredible resume. And it's crazy as well, Jake LaMotta, when you look at him, when you look at his style, that guy was like face first, he got hit a lot, been through so many wars, so many fights. Yeah, this guy lived to his late 90s, sharp as a tack. It's crazy, man. It's crazy how he got away with it like that. Whereas certain guys, if they fought like he did, other guys would basically be a vegetable. Lamotta definitely had good fighting genetics. There's no doubt about it. Was thinking Andrade Williams is close and competitive. Now thinking Andrade wins YDUD or late stoppage. I think YDUD, George. I think YDUD. Lamotta's chin was insane, like a middleweight Marius Wack with actual boxing skills and stamina. Yeah, his chin was ridiculous. James Toney was probably better than Ward defensively, but Ward had that special ability to control the fight and nullify his opponents. Only other guy I can think of who did as well was B-Hop. Yeah, but listen, man, the thing with Andre Ward's tactics, that's not going to work everywhere. So what I'm trying to say is, let's say Andre Ward fought abroad in an opponent's backyard. His tactics are not going to be allowed by the referee, is what I'm saying. Whereas James Toney, you can put James Toney anywhere, and his style's going to be the same. Like, he'll still be as effective. Like, I think Andre Ward was a guy who did rely on bending the rules quite a lot, to be honest. So, I just don't like those sort of fighters. I understand that it's a fight, don't get me wrong, and certain things happen. Whatever, it is what it is. But guys who constantly do it, fight after fight, I can't really. Not my thing. Not my thing. James Toney wipes the floor with all of them. Yes, big up James Toney. Yeah, that would be an absolute war, Johnny. Hagler and Lamotta, yeah. I'd go Hagler personally, but I think Hagler's ability was a bit. I think Hagler, he had better boxing ability as far as I'm concerned, but I think he'll nick it, but it'll be a great fight. Nobody would get knocked out in that fight. That fight does not end in a knockout. That goes 15 rounds. There's no doubt about that. 15 rounds. If everyone boxed like Ward, boxing would be dead. Fighters like Toney keep the sport alive. I agree. Fucking hell, I've just totally lost where I am in the chat. AJ is chinny. Somewhat. I don't think his chin is as bad as some people say, but he's definitely vulnerable. Like, I think if AJ was like chinny, like David Price chinny, he wouldn't have got up against Vladimir Klitschko, for example, or Povetkin would have knocked him out because he took some big shots in those fights. His chin is not terrible, but he is still vulnerable, if you get what I mean. Like, his chin is just average at heavyweight. That's what Joshua is, in my opinion, in terms of chin. Yeah, Seth Mitchell was supposed to be the man, complete hype job, yep. He always seemed like a nice guy, though, Seth Mitchell. I felt bad for him, when he got knocked out by Chris Arreola. I felt really bad for him because that was his career over. Oh, it's 11:30 out there. Still quite early for you guys, man. What do you think of a 6'5" man making super middleweight? Why, if you can do it, why not? Listen, that fucking lanky cunt, Sebastian Fundora, he's fighting at 154, and he's 6'6" fighting at 154. So doing it at 168 is definitely doable. Yeah, Banks was holding Seth up at times. Yep. I'm convinced that was a fix, Nordic. Convinced. Big up to DC Joe DC, formerly known as Joe DC. Big up to you, sir. Okay, I'm not going to read this out because I don't want to get banned, but for the guys in the chat who want to find fights to watch, check out these websites. Big up to Simon Coulthard, serving the community. Big up to you, sir. And yeah, while I've got a few of you guys in here, I should have news on the second channel soon. Started to record the first video, which is good. The channel's got a name now. I finally found a name for the channel called Disturbed Reality. I've made a little bit of artwork for the channel, just like really placeholders. Eventually, I'll pay somebody to make better artwork. But yeah, the channel's called Disturbed Reality. And yeah, the first video is now being recorded. So when that comes out, I'll let you guys know and I'll plug the channel. But yeah, I wanted to update you guys on that. Looking forward to that, actually, seeing where we can take it. The thing is with the second channel, though, like in the algorithm, it's going to be a bit of a struggle because I think my videos will be age restricted. There's no doubt about it. They'll definitely be age restricted. So really, it's just really a passion project, I guess, for second channel. But I'm looking forward to it. This guy, man, Jim McDonald. Josh Whale fighting Josh Warrington for the vacant IBO. Where's it going to be? In a car park? Nah, not really interested, bro. Yeah, these guys are not even worth talking about, Boxing Learner. They're not even worth talking about. I understand being bigging up your guys and that's cool. It's cool supporting your own fighters if you want to, but there's a limit. There's a limit. Exactly. Yeah. See, Ward's tactics. Yeah, Ward's tactics are going to work when he's the A-side fighter in his backyard. But if he's fighting abroad, in Germany, in Russia, in the UK, or even against another US fighter who's a bigger draw, those tactics are not going to be fucking allowed. They're going to get called up on. That's one thing that people never consider with Andre Ward when it comes to fantasy fights or things like that. Does Ward's style translate into a more hostile environment? Imagine, for example, Ward fighting Beterbiev in Russia. Do you think they're going to let Ward get away with those rabbit punches, low blows, constantly holding? Of course not. And that's the thing with Andre Ward's style for me. And he never proved it away from home. Did you guys see Prince Patel when he fought for the IBO title? Absolutely useless. He was like a punching bag. Yeah, he was terrible, Nordic. Absolutely terrible. Del, what was your biggest strength when you used to spar, and what was your biggest weakness? So my biggest strength was just my range, my reach, my arm length. Like my arms are longer than Vladimir Klitschko's. Like Klitschko had 26-inch arms, I've got 28-inch arms, and yeah, my long straight punches when I was moving effectively were really tricky for guys. And also I had good power in my straight right hand, so my straight punches when they worked were fucking great. My weakness, though, was the inside. I was never like, but I'm not a great inside fighter. I always resorted to holding like Andre Ward or Vladimir Klitschko. I was terrible on the inside. If you could get to my body and maintain a body attack, you'd beat me, to be honest. You'd beat me. But yeah, I was a rangy, awkward, gangly guy who could punch a bit from long range. But on the inside, I was completely useless, to be honest. Completely useless. I had a I just couldn't fight on the inside. But if I kept you on the outside, listen, I'll bust your face up, and I could knock you out. Flash forward to 2030. I'm still working on the second channel. I've actually started recording though. I've genuinely started recording, so that'll be out. I'm not going to say when it will be out, but it's being recorded. It'll take a little long. It's not one of those videos where I can do a boxing video in 5-10 minutes and record it straight away. It will take a lot more time than that, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to really kind of putting that channel in motion, I guess. Dell's second channel has been building longer than Spence Crawford. Yeah, that's the only thing, J9898. The gameplay looks mad stiff in that ESBC game. Yeah, but I'm sure they're going to touch it up. I hope they really nail it with that game. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I hope so, Nordic. I hope so. Don't worry about the algorithm, Dell. We, the army of boxing fans, will give you a huge boost and support and plenty of plugs. Wardell's second channel. Yeah, Wilder Scott was definitely dodgy. Definitely dodgy. Canelo and his fixed fight Saunders isn't worth talking about either. Yeah, I know Hatman. Yeah, I know Hatman. I like his channel. Do it, Nordic. Go do a complete like 180 and do like fucking Canelo like praise videos. Do it. Cheers, Johnny, man. Salute to Johnny. Thank you very much, Johnny, man. Took a long while, man, but we got there in the end. I'm 6'1", XMB 45. I'm 6'1". And when I was training to fight at welterweight in the amateurs. So I was going to have an amateur fight, but my opponent basically pulled out. Couldn't find another opponent. And basically after that, I kind of lost interest. I got a new job. My life kind of changed. And I basically kind of just, you know how life takes over. And I never really got back into boxing properly. I always go back and spar now and again when I can and things like that. But, you know, it just didn't really line up, to be honest. One of those things, man. It's definitely I do regret it, though, not taking it seriously and not pursuing it like I should have done. But, you know, you can't live by regrets. Yeah, basically, I'm the white Lawrence Okole, J9898. That's a good way. That's genuinely a good way to put it. That's how I fought, like Lawrence Okole. Exactly how I fought. See, I'd struggle with someone like Nordic, a shorter pressure fighter who can like stay compact, keep guarded, get on the inside. They're the sort of guys I struggle with. Guys who tried to box with me, even guys who had better technique than me, they struggled just because I was kind of awkward and I was so rangy. Those guys struggled. Like even guys who had amateur fights, like really struggled against me when they tried to box me. Tell could have been a runner bean. Runner bean could have been, should have been. Dear. Boxing is full of insecure old men. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's definitely a statement of intent, AA boxing and blunts. It's definitely a statement of intent. There's no doubt about it. They're putting some big money in the sport. Whether we appreciate the way they're trying to grow their brand or not, that's a different conversation. But they've got deep pockets. We'll see where they go. We'll see where they go. I guess the more competition, the better, though, right? So we'll see. We'll see. I am looking forward, though, to seeing Regis Prograis fight on that Jake Paul card. I am looking forward to that. I like Prograis a lot, so I'm looking forward to seeing him fight. I'm also I'm not going to lie, yeah, I'm kind of interested in Steve Cunningham versus Frank Mir, just for the lols. That'd be kind of funny. Shall we sell out and do a post-fight review for Jake Paul versus Ben Askren? Do you know what? Fuck's sake. I've got one more blunt left. But I left my lighter in my car. I could try and light it on the cooker, but fuck's sake. Yeah, on the inside when you're 6'1", it's hard, particularly if you don't have the body mechanics to shorten your arms and work on the inside like a lot of fighters don't. Yeah, exactly. That's how I was, bro. Like my uppercut was half decent on the inside. My right uppercut, that was half decent. I could get a bit of power on that, but really, apart from that, I had nothing on the inside. I'd be hugging and holding. I'd catch a Me Too case, to be honest. The amount of holding I did. I'd catch a Me Too case. Lighting a spliff on the cooker, does it get any more ghetto? Oh dear. Christ. Get a lighter, blunts deserve respect. Ah, man, it's effort. It's effort. I bet you had a Derry Matthews style. Nah, not really, man. Not really. I'd say more Lawrence Okole, to be honest. I'd say Lawrence Okole. I'm really tempted to do it now, to be honest. Hang on, 1 second. Right, I'm back. Just put the ring on for a little bit for Hob. Got a can of Guinness as well. So yeah, this is how the working out's been going. Christ Almighty! I thought, why not though? Why not get myself a few beers, treat myself? I was fuming as well because I went to get my haircut today. Went to town, and the fucking queue was like a mile long, man. So I thought, fuck this, I'm gonna leave it. Fucking cunts. Fuming. Canelo fans are virgins. Lighting it on the toaster. Prince Patel knows more than most trainers Prince Patel knows more than most trainers, he claims. Well, not from what I've seen in his fights. Exactly, Johnny. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Right, I'm back again. I've not even got a fucking ashtray near me as well, you know. So I'm gonna have to put this out in a fucking can, like proper ghetto. Jesus. I like Spence as a fighter, but I don't like his fanboys in the States. They're so annoying and overly biased. Yeah, I feel the same way. I've always liked Errol Spence Jr. I like his style of fighting. He's like pretty technically sound, does the basics well, good body puncher. I like Spence a lot. I do like Spence. I said this the other day. I see a lot of similarities between Spence and Josh Taylor in terms of style. A lot of similarities. Like their stances are a bit different. Like Josh Taylor's got more of a wider stance. He's got that kickboxing stance when he used to kickbox, Josh Taylor. But Taylor and Spence are very similar in a lot of ways, in my opinion. I had a Senad Gashi style one amateur fight, and I wanted to bite him when the ref stopped it. Did you get stopped, AA Boxing and Blunts? I'll big up to B Marsh Boxing, big up Del Boy. Ain't nothing like a cold Guinness. Yeah, it's lovely, man. I love Guinness. See, I'm not a big drinker these days, funnily enough. Like during lockdown and that, I've barely had any booze apart from when I've been out. But if I had to drink anything, it's got to be a nice cold Guinness, man. I do like my Guinness. I've not had a haircut in ages due to them all being shut. I just shaved it off a couple of months ago instead. So I can't shave my hair off, man. I've got to get my hair cut by my Turkish barbers, man. The Turkish do the best job, man. I don't give a fuck. Turkish barbers, tremendous, man. Tremendous. Yeah, next he'll be doing a tie in booth and pissing in a bottle. I won't go that far. I won't go that far. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I've always said Canelo's a great fighter. Like technically, he's a very skilled fighter, but I just don't appreciate some of the politics that comes with him. Basically, that's my only thing with Canelo. That's literally all it is with Canelo Alvarez. Like stylistically, he's a fun fighter to watch. He does have skills. He's got nice combination punches, great body puncher, good counter puncher, respectable power, good hand speed, good defense. He's a great fighter skill-wise, but it's the politics that comes with him for me. Yeah, Spence and Taylor are both southpaws and both love uppercuts to the body. Yep, both great body punchers. Like the stances are a bit different, but they do have a lot of similarities. Extra stout. I've not tried the foreign extra yet, B-Marsh. I've heard a lot of good things about it, though. I've heard a lot of good things about it. Just go for the cheapest one. The foreign extra is actually quite hard to find in the UK. From what I understand, I've not seen it in any main supermarket. It's quite hard to find. Yeah, that's all it is with Canelo. It's politics. It's like overly. It just kind of puts me off his fights, to be honest. Like if he was a B-side fighter, would he have got the decisions over Golovkin or Lara? Probably not. Probably not. And also the whole drug testing scenario, all of this stuff. Certain fights that he's not taken. I don't know. I'm just not a big Canelo fan. I used to like Canelo as well back in the day. I went from disliking Canelo to liking him to disliking him again. When he first come on the scene, he was like this highly touted prospect. And basically he got handed a title at 154. He beat Matthew Hatton, who was a welterweight coming up for a vacant title at a catchweight at 152. And he won a title that way. Then he fought like shot fighters like Kermit Cintron. He fought Josecito Lopez at 154. I mean, at that point in time, I was like, fuck this guy, man. He's a hype job. And then he fought Austin Trout when Golden Boy did not want him to take that fight. Then he fought Lara. Golden Boy did not want him to take that fight. At that point in time, once he fought Trout, Lara, Mayweather, I was actually a fan of Canelo, to be honest. He was doing some good things, but the politics since then have been just too hard to stomach, really. Yeah, okay, so I like them both, but here in the States, the foreign extra is not as common. Extra stout is more available, yeah. I've never seen it in the UK, the foreign extra. I might be wrong, but I think the foreign extra is actually brewed in Nigeria, I want to say. I swear it is. I might be wrong, though. Unless they brew it all over the place, maybe. I don't know. If Spence originally signed with Top Rank and Crawford with the PBC, would their perceptions be the other way around? I don't know. Davis. I can't fucking say your name. I don't know, really, man. I'm just getting bored with that whole situation at welterweight. It's getting really hard to just talk about at this point in time. That's why people are so excited by Jaron Ennis and Virgil Ortiz, because we're waiting for Spence and Crawford. You know, these guys are not really making any progress. A lot of people are getting frustrated. That's why people are getting excited by these new guys coming up. That's why. Okay, so yeah, Kenya, Thailand, Jamaica, all brew foreign extra. No worries, D-man. No worries. But yeah, who are you guys picking this weekend? Liam Williams or Demetrius Andrade? I've got Andrade on points, UD. Like I said, I've seen a few people pick Williams by stoppage. I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say, though. Who are you guys picking to win that fight? I just can't really see Liam Williams winning it, to be honest. I can't see it. It's lovely stuff, man. That is lovely stuff. True Son's got Andrade. I really want to see Andrade make a statement. He needs to make a statement in that fight. God, this fucking mouse, man. Jesus. Jared says Andrade on points. Bump of K. Williams by stoppage. Mr. Relax Williams by big KO. A lot of guys are going for Williams by knockout. I'm not sure about that, man. I'm not sure. I just don't like what I saw. I didn't like what I saw from Liam Williams in that first Liam Smith fight. He was winning the fight, don't get me wrong. Very, very controversial ending because of a head clash. But Liam Williams was looking for a way out in that fight. He was starting to wilt in that fight. And he was happy when that fight was ended, even though it's bullshit. He was happy to be out of there. I think Liam Williams is an on-top fighter. That's why I think Andrade would be actually. I'd like to see Andrade really put it on him, see how he responds. I'm not convinced by Liam Williams at all. I'm not convinced by this perceived improvement that people see. Don't get me wrong, he's looking better. He's destroying these guys at a lower level. But I think a lot of that could be down to selective matchmaking. I really do. So you guys, yeah, Liam Williams is 10-3 by knockout if you guys want to bet. So 10-3, £10 would return what? £43 and 33 pence. B. Moss has got Andrade decision, 8 rounds to 4 type of fight. Yeah, I'd say Andrade. That's what I'm kind of going with. Like, it'll be relatively competitive in certain rounds, but Andrade's always going to be a step ahead. Too rangy, too awkward, too long. Big up to Jed Kyle, man. Salute to Jed Kyle from down under. Big up to Jed. Big up to Jed. Americans always treat Brits like bums. Could spell disaster here when Williams is in there going for the kill. That's the only thing with this fight is, like, if Andrade is not taking Williams seriously, then yeah, he could get caught. He could get caught with a big shot and he could get upset. That could happen, but If Andrade's on his P's and Q's and he takes Williams seriously, I just can't see him losing this fight. I really can't. I really can't. I'd be quite surprised if Williams wins this. I agree, Jed. Yeah, Andrade clear dominant decision in this fight. I agree. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna wrap this one up. I'm gonna wrap this one up. If you could smash the like, that'd be much appreciated. Always helps us out. But yeah, big up to you guys, man. Thank you for dropping by. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And I'll wrap this one up. We might do a live stream on the day of the fight. Who knows? Maybe even a live commentary. We'll see. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Smash the like, of course. Peace.